Hey team, hope you're good. Just Matt here from Shear Performance. Just to shoot this video really just off the back of some information that we've been giving to some of our clients, and also some questions that I've had come in recently from a good few of you as to like kind of what to do at this time in relation to your to your shearing performance and your health. So here's some information, okay, which I just wanted to share with you. So I think at the minute, obviously, everybody, so those of you who are watching this in the Southern Hemisphere, so maybe in Australia, New Zealand, or maybe even Argentina, somewhere like that, from the people who've messaged in. And then those of you who are in the Northern Hemisphere, obviously some different kind of happenings as well in terms of stages of the virus. So, some people on total lockdown, others, pretty much there. So what I wanted to do with you is just talk to you a little bit about sort of problems and solutions. So right now, we all face a similar problem in that our travel and our work is heavily restricted. Now, in terms of shearing, from a welfare perspective, certainly sort of from what I've read, it's necessary. So if you're in the UK right now, you need to be thinking about the fact that you're going to be probably busier than ever, and you're going to have to start thinking about logistically how you organise yourself with that as well. And that's a little bit outside of the scope of what I can probably help you with, but just to sort of bring awareness to that is certainly something that we got mentioned in the Shear Performance group this week. So thank you to those of you who contributed in that as well. That's really cool. So it needs to be flexible, and I don't mean like flexible in terms of the way you move, but metaphorically. So we need to be able to adapt and adapt fast. Yeah. So you've been perhaps put into a situation where we're on lockdown and we've had to adapt in every facet of our life, whether it be food shopping, whether it be communication with clients, whether it be logistics of getting materials and equipment to you to wherever you need to get them. All right, so we've had to adapt already. So same goes really for your training and the way that you look after yourself. Okay, we need to reduce stress. Okay, so one of the things that we cannot afford to do at this time is to actually increase total stress on top of what we're already doing. So thinking of ways that you can reduce stress, and that's what we're going to go through in this video. Up communication, just make sure that your communication is spot on with whether it be with, if I'm coaching you, with me, whether it be with family, whether it be with your customers, just making sure your communication is really dialed in at this time so everybody knows exactly where they're at and what they're kind of expecting from each other. I think at the minute, like while some of the recommendations are fairly vague, like if your communication is good, then at least people know where you stand, and if they're happy with that, then you can move forward. And we also just need to get out of our heads as well. Like there's way too much sort of like deep water thinking at the minute. Like like oh man, I'm like I have such a problem. Rather than focusing on the problem, think about the solutions and how you can deal with it. Move on. So I actually think this is a period of massive opportunity for a lot of us. From a physical point of view, as long as we don't get COVID-19. Okay, I think it's a massive impact, and I'm also going to help you to try not to do that in terms of your nutrition, your lifestyle, and immune system support in the slides coming up. So this period is a massive opportunity for you guys and ladies. Obviously, I say that kind of universally to allow you to progress in terms of your physical conditioning, okay, your mental conditioning, and other areas. There's plenty of opportunity. It's just how you view it. Yeah, it depends whether you're viewing it through which pair of glasses you put on. Yeah, so commitment and motivation. I think if any of you follow me on Facebook, I shared a video this week about commitment and motivation. Committed people will take action at this time, yeah, and they'll keep trying to move forward irrespective of whether their motivation is waning, up and down, because it will happen. Motivation will wane a little bit. Pressures will come on you in different ways, and your motivation, whether it be to have competed in shows or records this, coming up, motivation will wane. So committed people just carry on taking action, okay? And if we rely purely on motivation, we're kind of doomed. All right, because the motivation is like almost an extrinsic, it comes from outside, from material things, whereas commitment just comes from within. All right, and you look at the people who are successful; they are very committed to what they do. All right, successful people are committed. When you find yourself stopping, stop that. Okay, so if you feel like you're stalling a little bit, just make sure you get yourself going again. Okay, move on to the next job. And one of the things that we sort of talk about is being better than yesterday. Okay, so just being better. All right, that's all you need to do. Yep, keep moving forwards. So let's just say, like, if this was 12, this goes on for 12 weeks, yeah, hypothetically, all right? We've got 12 weeks to work on our weaknesses, work on the things that we haven't got in place, whether that be physically, in your businesses, and if you're shearing for people, if you get, all those sort of, all the infrastructure that goes around whatever you do day in, day out, we've got a chance to work on all that, okay? Because we haven't got the day in, day out level of work. If it's training wise, you've got time to train. If it's eating, you've got time to prepare your food. Okay, there's no excuses now, really. Okay. I think we need to have fun in this period of time. So definitely, using the online platforms, whether free for exercise or social, join in on the Shear performance conversations. Definitely a good opportunity to do that. And actually treat it like a bit of a pre-season. Yeah. So for those of you in the UK who, we're probably about a month away from, the main part of the main Shear for most of you, if we averaged it across the whole country. I would say, like, for my clients, so what I'm doing with them is I'm helping them to adapt their plans so that they can utilise the environment they're currently in. So any of them who are going to the gym to train, yep, all obviously able to do it from home now because gyms are closed. So cross train, use your bike, you get your push bike out if you've got one, go for a run, those sorts of things we wouldn't normally fit them in, like we'd do something different. But they can be effective. I'm not a massive fan of running, really, when it comes to trying to train to improve shear performance. We've never done running with any of our shearers who've obviously broken records and and done really well at shows. We've never done any running. It's just not something I feel is particularly beneficial. But that said, some little short intervals in the garden, might provide you with a little bit of training benefit. So my considerations, if I am or if I was your coach right now, okay, in terms of your exercise, your nutrition, your lifestyle, I would say, just to reiterate to you, that exercise is really good for your mood, okay? And these are obviously points you can kind of relate to the rest of your families, the people around you, friends, etc. Exercise is really good for your mood. It's good for your immune system, general health, let alone shearing performance, okay? We don't want to do anything too long. We want to protect the heart, okay? So we know that excessive stress, as I mentioned earlier, like if we went out and did a 4-hour cycle right now, okay, that could put our immune system lower. It doesn't mean to say you're going to get the virus, but it means it suppresses your immune system temporarily, and that might not be a good thing right now. So we'll keep the exercise sessions a little bit shorter at the minute. The current scientific recommendations are 60 minutes, okay? So that's what we're kind of working with that. Tell me if you're not feeling that well. So if you're being coached by you want to acknowledge the fact if you're not feeling too good. It's really important that you're aware of your body. Don't take anti-inflammatories. They've actually been shown to make the symptoms worse should you be fortunate to get even the mildest of symptoms. All right? And stay hydrated, okay? One of the key things. Stay hydrated, okay? It's thought that the actual movement of the water through the digestive system helps to flush the virus through, and it can't survive in the stomach acid, okay? So stay hydrated. Don't let your throat get dry. So if we look at this in 3 phases, so month 1 being April, month 2 being May, month 3 being June. Now, that's the way I normally look at when I'm programming for people. For all the shearers, the wall handlers, everybody that we work with, we break this down into what we call mesocycles. So a typical mesocycle is 4 weeks. Just apologies for getting a little bit scientific with you, but I just need you to kind of understand how you might look at this for the next 3 months. So let's say April, May, and June. Each of which is like a typical mesocycle, and each of those can be broken down into 4 microcycles, So we've got the mesocycles being the months and the microcycles being the weeks, and that's how we plan out our programming, okay? So each phase will kind of look like this, so 3 weeks of, reasonable effort and 1 week a little bit easier. So that might be like some conditions, some strength work, in 3 weeks on and some mobility in there, and then week 1 might be just more about mobility and movement, a little bit easier cardiovascular work, okay? So 3 weeks of what we call on and 1 week easier, okay? Or deloading. Integration of strength and cardio in like unusual formats. So you might combine, like you say, you might have your bike, you might go up and down your lane or across the field and back, and then you might do, your strength work. Then you might get back on your bike again, or you might go for a run, do some shuttle runs in the garden, or whatever space you've got access to. So it's really individual in that respect. There's so much scope to get fit and strong in this period of time. It's unreal, okay? As you can probably see. No sessions over 60 minutes. I've mentioned that already. And I think as well, like we use when I'm talking to our clients about this, we're talking about individual preferences as well. So there's nothing wrong with doing what you like. Okay, we just need to make sure it's balanced in terms of its overall picture. So we're not just doing strength work, we're not just doing cardio, we're not just doing mobility. We're doing everything we need to give this program balance, even though we're not necessarily in a normal environment. So in terms of that, tips to stay healthy, we've sort of 4 categories I broke this down into: sleep, nutrition, exercise, and social connection. So the first 2, really, you would kind of look at as more kind of lifestyle along with nutrition, but they're all lifestyle really. But exercise, nutrition often get put in their own categories, and sleep and social connections kind of put into another. So in terms of sleep, sleep is crucial to health, not just now, but always. Okay, so you need to think about getting up at the same time. Yeah, your sleep routine, go to bed at the same time. Open the windows, get some sunlight in, which is good for your mood. Train regularly, which is important for sleep. So if you you're used to being tired, like you go out for a day's shear and you're used to being tired. If you're not doing that, it might come as a bit of a surprise to you, but you might not sleep as well. Okay, so we need to try and accumulate some fatigue to promote sleep in the evening. I'd say only nap if you're tired from training. Too much might actually just hinder your sleep later on. Be as socially connected as possible. So keep in contact with your friends and with your peers in the industry. Yeah, keep in contact with them. Drop a message, say how you're doing. It's really, really important right now that everybody, and the shearing community is amazing for this. Stay as socially connected as possible. All right. I'd say avoid alcohol and large meals close to bedtime. And now, if you're training anyway, you shouldn't really be drinking alcohol. It kind of makes no sense. Just trying to keep away from caffeine after lunchtime. Okay, so if you're using caffeine to help boost you in your normal shearing day, I would suggest right now you don't need it. There's no need for you to be taking caffeine for performance enhancement right now. Okay, because ultimately you're not really having to dig deep as much as you would do normally. Don't use, if you're in the UK, the BBC or anywhere else like the CNN news apps. Okay, that's not a good thing to do. Tend to be pretty depressing, and they like to share bad news. I would say don't go to bed way earlier than usual. Just do something non-stimulating before bed. Even if it's down to like writing notes on what you want to achieve tomorrow. Declutter your brain a little bit. That's what I tend to do. Make a few notes so that I don't have to be going to bed thinking about stuff and lying there. And I think accept this time that excess stress and that kind of deep water thinking won't be helpful for your sleep. So try and use things like mindfulness apps and calming music to help with that if you need to. Simple conversations with friends, and positive people really help. And I think if it just, a little bit outside of the scope of my practice, but if it gets beyond your control psychologically, then definitely ask for professional help. There's no problem with asking for help. Okay, we always say that, Matt and I, whenever doing seminars, like, the biggest thing, like the way that we can help people most in terms of shearing and performance, is if they ask for help. Like those people who are in position to help you can't help you unless you ask for it. Nutrition. So never has our nutrition and hydration been more important. Okay, I mentioned earlier a little bit about hydration. Just make sure you get that dialed in. Yep, stay well hydrated. Things like vitamin C, vitamin D, and protein. So vitamin C has been linked in high dosages with actually helping people to overcome this virus. But not just that, things like strawberries, kiwis, sweet potatoes or kumara, real useful and high density levels of vitamin C within them. Okay, just to give you an idea, red peppers, those sorts of things as well. Obviously the citrus fruits, which we all know about. Vitamin D, now depending on where you are in the world right now, you may or may not be able to get optimal levels of vitamin D, and especially if you're staying inside a bit more than you usually do, which is very unusual. I know obviously you're in the shearing shed, but if those of you shearing in the back of a trailer or whatever, you're used to getting more sunlight than you are now. So perhaps you want to think about vitamin D3 as a supplement. Okay. Normally you'd get a blood test just to check out how those vitamin D3 levels are looking, but get vitamin D3 and not vitamin D. Vitamin D3 is much better absorbed. The toxicity levels are up to about 10,000 international units a day. So I usually shoot for around 4,000 international units a day with my clients, okay, as a recommendation, because I know it's fairly safe, all right? And also, it's going to help it's responsible for about 800 different genes, okay? So super useful in that respect. Protein, so just making sure you get adequate levels of protein to maintain your muscle mass. It's super important right now that you maintain and hang on to as much muscle as you can. Now, you know as well as I do that during the shearing season, you guys, some of you will suffer with a big weight loss. Okay, now protein is obviously something that plays a major role in that. If you're not getting enough protein and good quality protein in, then that can be a bit of an issue. All right, so something to think about moving forwards with that as well. Exercise. So just make sure you get some fresh air, guys and girls. Make sure you get fresh air. You want to be, you want to be thinking about physical activity, which I've written at the bottom there, is less structured than exercise. So think of exercise as structured activity where you've got prescribed amounts of time or weight or repetition that you're using, whereas physical activity is a little less structured. That can be done with people and using things that are around your house, less structured. Yeah, so you might go out and play tennis in the back garden with your kids, or you might, whatever you choose to do. Okay, it's less structured. Go for a walk with a dog, etc. Okay, having a program to follow obviously drives up accountability. Okay, so in that respect, making sure that you do that. So accountability is really, really useful. Okay. The social element, so Zwift, Zoom, Messenger, Strava. There are some of the social platforms that you can use to kind of stay in contact with people. If you like to cycle at home, you can use the Zwift cycling platform. Zoom is another sort of like connection, like video calling service. Messenger, which is obviously Facebook Messenger, and Strava, which is like another sort of thing which you can log like your walks and your runs if you do those sort of things, or your weights and whatever activities you do. All right. So programs that we offer, like if you're interested in getting some help with this, we got a 28-day bodyweight lockdown program which I put together last week off the back of some demand, in terms of I haven't got equipment. I really wanted to do a 6-week introduction to shearing, but I haven't got any equipment. What can I do? So I put together a 28-day bodyweight lockdown program, which can be done. So yeah, again, on any of these programs, if you want more information, just pop me a message, no problem. Mobility and movement program. So that's you'll need some bands and dumbbells for that. So if you haven't got them, that might not be suitable for you right now. But that's purely based on helping improve movement, stretching, a little bit of stability work in there as well. Okay, less strength work in that one, but equally we are still doing some stability work because we know that helps with your mobility. The 6-week introduction to shear performance is really just a bit of a taster and an introduction to how we might work together. A lot of people do that and then move on to our bespoke coaching, which you can see below there. All right, so you've got your 6-week introduction to shear performance and the sort of methodologies that we use, and obviously a really good opportunity for you to get some great results and feel really good. And then but some people decide to go straight in for the bespoke coaching. So we individualize the training plan based on some videos that we ask you to do early doors. We start looking at your nutrition in a little bit more detail with you on an individual basis. We obviously talk about, we talk to you and we feed back to you and we provide you with coaching, which gives you that kind of accountability as well. All right, so we provide you with recipes and those sorts of things, anything that you need really to get you, in the best shape you can. All right, so that's just a little heads up. I hope that was useful for you all. Please share it, provide comments, etc. Amongst the community. Let's help everybody in this shearing community because you're all really good. That's one of the reasons I wanted to deliver this to you. Is you're all really good at supporting each other, and I love that about your industry. So please, continue to do that and help each other. And you can all thrive off the back of it. And hopefully this information is part of that. All right. Have a great day and speak to you real soon. Cheers.